and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijasan. On this week's episode of the program, we will be focusing on the issue of World Day Against Child Labour. We also have interesting news stories for you. We will be right back. Several workers from across the world staged a protest in Geneva, Switzerland over the need for improved wage. The labor leaders communicated in different languages but with one voice to protest against precarious working conditions. The president of the International Trade Union Confederation, ITUC, Ayuba Waba, says to achieve a new social contract, Africa must start to think of a common African minimum wage across the continent.
We believe that the foundation of ILO is to address the fact that poverty and inequality anywhere is a threat to prosperity anywhere. And therefore, we thought we need to make the point, and also other issues. Going forward, I think is to make the better use of this opportunity of the 100 years of ILO to say that workers should not be treated like a commodity. Workers should be treated with dignity because we create the wealth of the world.
Well, it's a global message to all the athletes, and I believe Nigeria government, Nigeria workers, the stakeholders will imbibe with this directive
to ensure that our right to bargaining, our right to strike, our right to protest, and our right to engage employers of labor and government is strengthened through a very strong, coordinated convention being clocking our 100 years of struggle as our international labor movement.
During the protest, the Secretary General of the ITUC said there is a need for an international treaty to protect women from exploitation, especially when it has to do with equal pay.
Not even equal pay for women doing the same types of work. And we're here to negotiate the most historic treaty our world has ever seen to end violence and harassment in the world of work. The numbers are astonishing. There is not a sector and there is not a country where this is not an egregious problem. Women experience it whether they have to risk their lives to get a job with a male manager or the day-to-day aggressions they face in the workplace. Many governments have no laws to protect them.
Thousands of workers across the globe took to the streets in Geneva, Switzerland to demand for a new social contract. According to research, the broken chair symbolizes fragility and strength, and that's why the workers chose the center to protest. Shenfan Nigeria Limited is a factory based in Lagos Southwest, located at Obasa Lane in Ikeja. Shenfan is known for manufacturing of footwears. Sources say it is owned by Chinese. There have been reports of unfair labor practices in the company. So I took time to do due diligence on what it takes to be a factory worker at Shenfan. According to the workers who pleaded anonymity, staff of morning shift work between 7:30 in the morning and 7:30 in the evening, while those on night shift work for 18 hours without any break. Lovett Ekene, not a real name, spoke on the age grade the company's management favors during recruitment process. I have to hide the identities of the workers who agreed to share their experience.
When I resumed, I came with one of my friends. That one is like 42 years old. We came together. I want to explain to you. So the white man said, she cannot employ, she's too old. That they want the young people around maybe from 13 to 18 years. Even the boy that died is 14 years. So they want the children that maybe they are still in secondary school. When they vacate, they will employ them. When they resume, they will go back to school. That is the way they employ. So they don't employ an old person. They will say they want an underage person to work with them around 17, 15, 16.
From findings, the company has only casual workers who have no access to any other form of benefits except the 700 naira they earn per day. Even this salary, as mega as it may seem, can be deducted over flimsy issues like lateness and failure to meet up with targets.
àwa mi à ń ṣiṣẹ́ Monday till Sunday. Sunday yẹn dẹ̀kẹ̀ bó bá tún wá wá dẹ̀kẹ̀ they sack the nínú ìjọ kejì tó bá ti wá ń
We
jọ
work
Monday
12
báyìí,
hours
ó ti
without
sack the
break.
wọ́n ti máa sack
If we make any mistake,
ó ti lọ nìyẹn.
you will be relieved
Ó
of your
tá a fẹ́ kí
job.
ìjọba kó ṣe fún wa
We are
ni
being
pé
maltreated.
a fẹ́ kún
We
wá-
want the
kún
government
wá
to
sí
provide
ibẹ̀
better
yẹn.
jobs.
Kán wá rescue wa kó nínú nǹkan táwa.
According to the Nigerian labor laws, a factory should follow some safety procedures in the workplace. But this worker at Shemfan narrates her experience, accusing human rights activists and inspectors who visit the factory to certify it safe of complicity.
Even immigration, they came there to collect bribe from them. Police people, the same thing. Even as of Monday, this Lagos State Commission, Safety Commission, they came. But I didn't know whether they gave them money. They came inside the factory, they video everything, they snap, they do everything. Human rights people, they came. They said they are government people. But when they got, no, none of them will interview the worker to know what we are passing through there.
Few weeks ago, I learned that a 14-year-old boy, Joseph Eyame, died by electrocution from a faulty machine at the factory. In the quest to know the current situation of things, I went in search of late Joseph's family, perhaps to know why he decided to be a factory worker rather than attending school like his peers. After much search, I was able to meet with the father, mother, and brother. Joseph's father described his late son as a talented boy who had dreams.
14 years old. He was almost leaving Nigeria for Germany. He would have left Nigeria on 28th of this month to Germany. He felt that his mate are also doing the job. Let me follow them. And that was how he went to the job. Being a star boy and a house rent and he's not lazy, probably, I will lure him to that job. And as I'm talking to you, when he got the job, I was not aware. My wife and other junior one have been trying to stop him not to go, telling him, what are you going to do there? That's not a job. Because I've been hearing, that's not a job you can do. Because it stretch you, make you to be lame. When we changing your color, because he was very handsome yellow boy. I decided to come to compromise by telling them, well, I have no time. Those power, you see my age. I'm going to 61 years. I'm 61 years old. Calling me to come today, come tomorrow, next tomorrow. You know what Nigeria is. And they follow the bag men who have the money they got to spend. I don't have that money. For that reason. They later came and asked me, let you have, and they were begging, talking, and I looked like, what type of amount are you going to pay to me that to make the child to come back? It's dead, it's dead. You pay 200 million, 200 million, 300 million, you have nothing to get from it. And the life cannot be revised back. The child that will tell me that you buy, we don't build a house, you will buy. There's no need to say you want to build a house, you will buy a house. A child that will tell me that today, the Mercedes of today, the Jeep of today will not be the Jeep that will be raining during my time. A child that will tell me that the whole world you will travel. I know, you have that, it's a talent guy.
But with the dream cut short and trip to Germany to find greener pastures aborted, Joseph's father says, though he wants justice, he can't afford it.
As me who have no money to be going from lawyer to another, what do I do? I will ask you that question. When you look yourself, no backing from nowhere and nobody and money, you know to consult a lawyer in Nigeria today, you know what you have to pay. To transport yourself to anywhere, you know what you have to pay. For that reason, when they now agree they have to do the better, okay? I will not call it compensation.
One of the workers who also does not want to be identified explains that the Chinese employers value footwears produced at the factory more than the employees. You saying that the machine that electrocuted the boy that died some few weeks ago is still in use in that company?
Yes, the machine is still working.
After the boy died, after 2 days, they start using the machine
In full capacity. I went back to Shefan Nigeria Limited to see things for myself.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
How old is your friend?
My friend is just 17 years.
Come out to talk.
No manager. This is a Chinese company. There's no manager. The manager here is Chinese also, and it's not around.
The door has been shut against us for us to gain access to see what for sure is happening in this factory here in Ikeja, Lagos. But the truth remains that the underage children who work in this company are the ones that pay the price, while the management makes maximum profits.
Section 28, subsection 2 of the Child Rights Act and Section 25, subsection 2 of the Child Rights Law of Lagos State prohibit exploitative labor and frown against employment of a child for an industrial job. With the Nigerian government adopting 3 international labor organization conventions which set a minimum age for employment of children, it is hoped that other forms of child labor like street trading, shoe shining, apprentice mechanics, carpentry, vulcanizing, tailoring, barbing, and domestic services will be eradicated. As many workers of Shemfa hope that the Ministry of Labor, Organized Labor, and the Lagos State government will come to their aid for them to have decent working environment.
Eliminating child labor across the globe is one of the aim of the United Nations to ensure that across the globe the SDGs are actually met. On the profile interview segment this week, I spoke with the Trade Union Congress chairperson, Comrade Oyin Consola Olasoye. She preferred possible solutions to end the issue of child labor across the globe. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you. Good day. How are you?
Good. The International Labour Organization is celebrating 100 years of social justice and promoting decent work across the world. What would you say about the Child Labour Day? Would you say that as a country, Nigeria, we've been able to do a lot in terms of activism towards ensuring that child rights are protected?
Thank you so much. Since Nigeria has ratified several ILO conventions until date, there have never been any serious difference between what is happening. Rather, it is getting worse when it comes to child labor in Nigeria. So nothing seriously has been done. The awareness have not been as serious, and the laws have not been as enforced as we expected it to have been.
So how would you have expected that the federal government, employers of labor, and even labor itself would actually promote children's rights in the country?
Thank you. According to ILO Convention 5 that Nigeria has ratified, there is a difference. I first need to establish that there is a difference between child work and child labor. Because for child work is normal things that every children does at home for us to train them. It is when it is adding economical advantage to it that became child labor. We expect Nigeria to have enforced a lot of law. And one of the law we expect them to have enforced is that one on child education. We have a Child Education Act of 2003 that specifies that all Nigerian children must be at school up to the junior secondary level. And since this one has not been implemented, have not been enforced, and because of the unemployment level, because of the poverty level in the country, a lot of parents now are insisting that their children should contribute to the well-kept of the home. And a lot of employers are seeing the children as somebody they can easily cheat, that they can ask them to do a lot of things with little money. So until federal government of Nigeria decided to implement, number 1, the Child Rights Act, number 2, Child Educational Act, number 3, to make sure that all employers of labor are being sanctioned. We need to reinforce the Inspectorate Department of Federal Ministry of Labor so that there will be people that go after those that are in the industry. Then the states should be encouraged, like I know Anambra State has done that there should be a state law that specify the time children can be outside selling. Because we may not be able to say children should not contribute to the economic activities of their family. But because majority of their parents are not working, they are laid off, so they believe it's only the children that can hawk a lot of things on the road. But there should be a law in place that says that during school hour, you can't do this. When you are this age, you can't do this. Until some things like this are put in place, it will be a bit tough.
Looking at the issue of child labor, we know that right now in the country, we still have a lot of alimagiries. That is, we have lots of children begging on the streets during the time they're supposed to be in school. Several state governments have actually been silent about addressing the issue of street begging. It's a rare form of child labor across the world. It's peculiar to us and maybe some other countries. What solutions do you think can be made to the government and relevant stakeholders to address the issue?
Since there is no serious enforcement on Child Education Act, there is no way that there will not be alimagiries. Because as at present, some of our spiritual or religious belief is that it is accepted that we should beg. But if there is an act that says you can't beg until you are so age, and there is awareness.
Who must you beg? Who must you beg?
As long as the economic situation of the country is this low, as long as the unemployment level of the country is still this high, and as long as there is no law, no enforcement that insists everybody should be in school, then there is something these parents will expect these children to do. Either they are in a company working, in an industry working, either they are selling on the road, or they are somewhere learning one apprentice or the other, or they are begging.
Recently, there was this report in the newspapers about a child, 14-year-old, that actually died because he was operating a faulty machine in one of the chemical companies we have in the country. How would you describe this act? Because that issue was actually reported. What of other issues that are not being reported in the media? Is this how we're going to go on?
Thank you. As long as we have not been able to set our priority right in this country, we'll be having issues like that. Number one, we have a law, even in Labor Act, that specifies that any child that is below 14 or around 14 cannot work in any industry. So the mere fact that that company employed that guy is a breach of the Labor Act. Number two is that how do we go about making sure that according to the Factory Act, that's another act in place that specifies that no industry organization should encourage anybody, either a child or an adult, to use a faulty machine. So as long as the laws we have, because we already have the law on child labor, we have the law on Factory Act, but who are the people inspecting? Who are the people implementing? Who are the people enforcing? And as long as there's nobody to, then if we look at it well, most of these companies that have the audacity to employ our youth are mostly foreign expatriate-owned companies. Because what they cannot do in their country, they are willing to do it in Nigeria because our laws are not guided. So it's something that hurts everybody, it's something that pains everybody, but we keep on reporting. We keep on reporting, journalists will report, the trade union will report about it. There are a lot of reports in Ministry of Labor. What has been done about it?
As the chairperson of TUC, I'm aware that women empowerment are some of the solutions that can actually reduce or eliminate the number of child labor activities in the country. What's your take on this?
Yes, I quite agree. Because as long as there is poverty, as long as there is no serious social welfare in place, because some of these children, they don't have a home. But if the country has a sort of social welfare, we can have some orphanage, we can have some places and these places should be monitored. And where they have parents they are staying with, let everybody be empowered so that we wouldn't mind sending these children to school. And those we don't want to send to school, as long as we are not encouraging them to develop a skill, this thing will be continuous. because this child labor will always continue in Nigeria. We will not be able to bring an end to it because, for one, that particular child that is in it now will not go to school. For two, he wouldn't understand the disadvantage about it. For three, there will be no development because he doesn't have education, he doesn't have leisure time to play. There are some education that is beyond school system. But a child that is working from age 14 hardly have time to play, hardly have time for leisure, so he couldn't learn anything. And as long as we are encouraging this, I pray, I don't want to confess it, that there will not be continuation of kidnapping, there will be no continuation of terrorism, there will be no continuation of poverty and child labor in Nigeria. Because all these things are interwoven and they breed each other.
Okay, worldwide, about 218 million children are still being engaged. That is, between the age of 5 and 17, they are still seen in the workplace. Looking at Nigeria as a place, you've actually enlightened us that the Ministry of Labor actually has to do a lot of work in terms of inspecting. But what happens to parents being responsible also? Is there any other form of advocacy that can actually take place, be it from the union, be it from relevant stakeholders to address this?
What we are doing as a president in the Women Commission, including my whole union as BFA, is that we try to have a sort of mentorship in most schools. We go to this school, we encourage them that even outside, because some of them, even that their parents are taking care of them, they felt that because as a president in Nigeria, we see money as the measure of wealth. So most of them felt that maybe you are asking your parents that, okay, the vogue now is a telephone. Mom, my friends, group pressure on them that my friends have a phone, can I have a phone? And your parent is saying, no, I don't want to have a phone. We have some cases like that. Then the children walk out of the house and felt that they want to go and work so that they will be able to get something as little as phone. And unfortunately, majority of them are camped inside some camp where they are working. They wouldn't have the opportunity to come out again. So I sincerely believe that if we create more awareness, we talk to these children right in their school and let them understand that it's not necessary, that it is rosy outside there. And we also talk to the parents that no matter what they are going through, they need to work with these children. And we also appeal to our legislature, both state and national, that they should put in place laws. They should start seeing these children as only falling out of school. They should also see the implication on the nation. Then I think more will be done in this area. Let there be law. If there is a law that says that during the school hour, educational hour, between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. mass, that we shouldn't see any children begging or hawking or on the street doing anything, then those that want to learn a trade or the other, let's make it possible for them. If it will be afternoon classes, like before that we did a sort of morning and evening classes. Those that still want to learn something, we can create an educational center in most of our local government areas and insisted that you must still be able to do it. After all, before you can do anything, you must be able to write, to read, to understand what they are telling you. And with the fourth revolution, a lot of technology in town now, if you can't read, you will not be able to do anything seriously very soon.
Okay, from your narration, you've actually mentioned that because of cheap labor, we have many people that want to engage children in the workplace. What's your take about casualization of workers? You're from the banking and financial sector. What can be done to ensure that decent work, as promoted by ILO, is actually achieved across the world?
Thank you. As far as there's still large mass unemployment in Nigeria, the employers will seize the opportunity and continue casualization. In advanced country and high ILO, casualization is permitted for a very short period in case there is a seasonal job that we need extra hand to use. That is the essence of casualization. But in Nigeria, casualization and outsourcing are fused together. Now, because of cheap labor, most employers, especially in my sector, prefer to look for contract workers that will do the same job as a normal employee. And this is leading to more fraudulent practices. With due respect, I keep on emphasizing to the character of these contract workers. But the mere fact that they are not happy doing most of this job, they are only doing it because they don't have any other thing to do. It is easier then for outsiders to be able to influence them. It is easier for their psychology to be able to be worked upon to get information from them. So we also appeal to Federal Ministry of Labor that all suppliers of labor, all these contract suppliers of contract labor, should be registered, and there should be a collective bargaining that will protect the right of these contract workers. As long as their right is being protected, there will be dignity of job, even within the contract workers in Nigeria.
So moving forward, apart from these solutions that we've actually highlighted, decent work can be, are you saying that decent work can actually be achieved in Nigeria?
It is achievable.
Despite the several challenges that we're faced with?
It is. There will always be challenges in the labor world. If our employers agree to do everything, then there will be no labor. There will be no labor union. There will be no reason for collective agreement. There will be no reason for bargaining. There will be no reason for negotiation. It is because a normal employer is a capitalist, and all they think about most of the time is profit. And the unfortunate thing is that once an employer is trying to reduce costs of doing business, the first thing that comes to their mind is how to lay off staff. So, but if we put everything in place, then there will be decency in our world of work.
It was a nice conversation I had with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're welcome.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijasan. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.